This is a whole different ball game. This now is the World Championship 2019. Big Daddy Sega and our lovely friends at Relic Entertainment, they have funded the biggest cash pool prize tournament in Company of Heroes history. We're now back live after a small intermission, and we're going to be joining the semi-final 2, which is Luvnest, again fighting this year, this time versus the Russian player, Jove. Hit it away, Dan.
Do you want to go straight in?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Hello everybody and welcome to our first game of the semi-final series between Luvnest and Jove. At the moment, playing on the western side of Nexus as the Soviet player, it is the fearsome Jove.
He might be fearsome, but Luvnest in the east is far more successful. He didn't have to get conscripted into the Russian Federation army for a year. That certainly helps. Luvnest is the man right now. He got taken to the wire last year in GCS2 and got beaten by millimeters. The previous year, he won the GCS1 championship, which was the first true live tournament in Company of Heroes history. This guy takes a hell of a beating, but so does Jove. We're on the map Nexus, heavily renovated recently, one of the many hundreds of changes to this ever-changing, evolving game. Dan, there's a tiger at the top of the screen. Go all the way north. This is really cool. That got introduced. How cool is that?
That is very cool. Very nice. Look at that. Beautiful. Nothing being brought on from that path.
Maybe we're going to see some burning tigers in this game, because we have... the commander chosen by Luvnest, yet again, grand defensive doctrine with a beautiful tiger tank in the late game, should he want it.
That's right, of course. Jove also locking in his commander straight away. He has gone for urban defense tactics, forward headquarters, shock troops, M42 AT guns, but of course, that late game, we hope to see it, KV2. And I've not seen the KV2 out on Nexus.
Oh, the Stalin hammer. Oh, I'd love to see that. Bit of Clement Virashilov 2 action. Would be very exciting indeed. Now, these two players, what are their playstyle? Luvnest's traditionally more prepared positions, strategy, tactics. This is the thinking man's Company of Heroes player. Jove is an endurance beast. He takes a hell of a beating. Look at that tac map, Dan. Tell us a bit about this map and how it's constructed.
Well, as you can see, this is kind of like a cross. There's an X through the center of this map, and you can see the strategic points here. They deny a lot of the resources on either side. If these are captured, then of course the player's not going to be receiving those high resource fuel and munitions points. I really like this map design, by the way. Really like the spread. VPs down the center.
It's nice.
Fuels just into the center of the VPs. Beautiful.
About the build orders, I've just seen something. By the way, this is really interesting. Luvnest goes for a Panzer Fusilier squad after his second Foch Grenadier. The idea of this is he has the anti-tank rifle grenade. So the early M3 rush, the scout car, otherwise known as the clown car in the community, that is mitigated by the Panzer Fusiliers. These guys already played once, and there was a little bit of a problem with the screen sharing software being used to enforce fair play in this tournament. So Jove now isn't employing the scout car early on anymore. That's a bit naughty, isn't it?
That is very naughty, yeah, it's true. But do you know what? There's no harm in preparing for these things. The mines will kill infantry models. It will equate to manpower in the early game. And like we see from Jove, he's bringing out penal battalions. They are the higher cost to reinforce units from the start.
Look at this,
of the
by the way.
build.
If you go to Luvnest's Fog of War camp, you can see just on the edge there, you can't see the mine being fully planted by the site given by the territory sector. That's just the true site in Company of Heroes 2 enabled there. Pretty cool to see.
It's a really nice movement from Luvnest right at the start of the game. He's picking off where Jove is overextending. He's alone with the engineers, and he brings over a number of units to deal with that and try and get the wipe on the retreat. Here's where we see the two penals have been spotted by the Stern Pioneers.
Oh, tense battle.
It is indeed.
Stern Pioneers drop a Soldat and two Soldat, and they're looking low. Throw a nice incendiary grenade from the Foch Grenadiers. Penal battalions reposition with those SVT rifles blaring. Stern Pioneers forced away. Here come the Panzer Fusiliers.
Really nice early game engagement. It's worth noting, by the way, Luvnest is going to see that Jove has brought up 3 penal battalions.
Ooh, did you see that? He was going to build the half track and then he decided against it. I wonder what he's thinking instead, because Luvnest can play equally well both battle group headquarters and mechanized regimental headquarters.
I have a feeling that going for the mechanized regiment against the 3 penal build could result in a decent amount of AT being, you know, on the field with the PTRS upgrade, potentially.
Possibly.
So maybe he's not going to go for the mechanized regiment here. We'll see.
Good fight, fire with fire, infantry versus infantry. A lot of mines, though, it must be said, by Jove so far. And why not, you know? Mines win games, which is the most popular and familiar adage from Company of Heroes Competitive. Probably a very familiar phrase. Oh, there we go. That was a OKW shoe mine.
If they would have retreated through there, probably would have wiped the rest of the squad, so... Fortunate, to be honest, from Jove. I've got to say, the start of this game, it's right to say both players have played very respectfully of each other. One of the things that they've done is make sure they haven't overextended at the start. They really have been, you know, fair to each other's territory and just playing along the middle.
Interesting now, we do see that mechanized was the choice. Stern Pioneers and Panzer Fusiliers converging on that combat engineer squad, forcing it away. Meanwhile, the Penal Battalion guard their retreat. 3 kills on these bad boys. They're all getting the Minesweeper, but they're rudely awakened yet again by the Strafniki.
Well, here comes the first tech. It's going to be from Luvnest, who, as we saw before, mechanized regiment, going to go for the Panzer II Lukes. We thought maybe he wasn't going to go for that.
I think it was a misclick. He just misclicked a second half track, and it just took us on a complete tangent because of Luvnest accidentally selecting a second truck. But never mind, he always went for mechanized. Rock 9 Flamethrower pops in the nick of time to create a Panzer Fusilier barbecue in the centre there, and more offer their way into the pit, feeling a little bit cold perhaps.
Oh, this is a really nice start game from Luvnest. You have a look at the map right now. He's going to take, well, across the border of the halfway line, but he's also about to take double fuel.
Look at that northern fuel being captured. Luvnest is putting himself in a dominant position so far. Perhaps thanks in kind to the 3 Penal Battalion build. Very costly units, of course, and they do take a while to build. So I think Luvnest has exploited this, and here we go. We've got the Panzer II Lukes.
Let's see what happens here. I always think what's good with the Lukes is that, especially when you've got the 3 penal build, you're likely to force the PTRS upgrade on 1 or 2 of the penals, which means the anti-infantry power for the Soviets goes down a little bit, allows the Fusiliers and the Volksgrenadiers to be a bit more effective. So there are some advantages to doing this, and let's see how Luvnest gets on with it.
Tell you what though, Jove's just put the Tankovi Battalion Command down in base, and he's also got 70 fuel. He needs 20 manpower more, and he'll have his T-70 with even possibly an Su-76. However, unlikely. Good mine there, by the way. That's to obviously stop any base inspections later on in the game. Stop any of that activity. The T-70s having a little bit of a marauding voyage. The Penal Battalions decap the fuel, ensure they do that, then run away very bravely. Not sure the NKVD would feel the same. G43s upgraded for the Panzer Fusiliers in a bit of a 2-meter blast out. They do win.
You can see the mines being swept here. Actually, Jove, an unfinished mine on the map, and here's the T-70's arrival.
Very nice camouflage. Can we have a little zoom in on that? This is why you want to take advantage of 75% off on all DLC as Dan and Matt enter their pitching, shilling mode yet again. But it is great. You can get some really nice skins. Not only can you get the game for free and keep it forever this weekend, Dan, you can also get lots of nice skins for your tanks.
That's right. T-70 is going to be a really crucial unit right now. It has a very short window before the Puma comes in from Luvnest. And again, you know, we've seen this build mechanized with the ground offensive, very, very powerful. We do know that the...
Ooh, that could have gone badly for either of the 2 working units. Looks like the combat engineers could bite the dust, but they make it behind the refuge of the green cover brick wall there. Penal Battalion, meanwhile, battling hard against the Volksgrenadiers, forcing away the G43 fuses. T-70 helping them out, making them feel godlike, if but for a moment. But I tell you what's not going to be feeling godlike for much longer. It's that T-70, because it's going to become prey to the Puma.
This is such a strong combination. It's worth noting, by the way, that whilst having double fuel, Luvnest has been able to control it with a highly mobile army with great damage output. And Jove's really got to work for this.
Drunken gunner in the turret there, that Panzer II, shots missing all over the place. Meanwhile, it suffers some damage from that T-70, but very close to one of those mines there, but it was all bait for the Puma. The armoured car with that vicious anti-tank cannon. Oh, hits a mine though!
Yeah, Luvnest's got to be careful of that. He knows that mines have been planted everywhere. He really can't afford to be running without these Stern Pioneers back in the base at the moment. Light vehicles, they're a huge advantage, and he has to make use of those, so no careless mistakes.
No careless mistakes indeed, but there is a Zis gun, and it has now gotten into position. The Puma's had to pop its smoke discharge canisters in order to get out of there, and it's doing so. And also, by the way, the railway wreckage there of Nexus stopping the Zis gun from any attack ground shots through the smoke. So good camping behind the features there by Luvnest.
A lot of players frustrated about terrain's interaction in Company of Heroes too, but actually, do you know what I mean? You really have to move your units and avoid these line of sight blockers because, you know, actually it's logical. That's how the game is built. Shots will connect with items like this. So.
Absolutely. It is, by the way, the M42 45mm anti-tank gun, of course. Jove making excellent usage of the commander there. Very nippy, these things. Set up a little bit more quickly, fire a little bit more quickly, don't do quite the same amount of damage, but over time they can be vicious, especially if you pair them up with a buddy. It's like I'm trying to get you to buy a puppy here. But it is indeed a very cute, small anti-tank gun. What do you see in the stats, Dan?
Nothing telling, to be honest. I'd say just a pretty respectful game from both players, nearly mirroring each other.
Feels like that moment in tennis when they're just warming up, you know, passing the ball over the net to one another.
Well, you're right. This is a warm-up game, I think. You know, neither player has tried anything fancy in game one. They're playing standard builds that are meta at the moment, and just trying to play them well, feel out the strength of the opponent. But it's looking good so far.
Speaking of puppy buddies, there isn't a second M42 on the field now, so he is doubling them up, Jove, indeed. Famous for his Rakettenwerfer play from back in the day as OKW, where he used to obviously group 2 Rakettenwerfers. Oh, Puma's in a good position. T-70's in peril. It's a big shot there, but the M42 saves the day. Puma cowers behind the fence there.
MG-34 gun crew ready for action.
Machine and Gewehr, 34 on the field.
This is such a nice flank from the Lukes. He's coming around to the north of this really big green cover area, and Jove is just totally boxed up outside of his base right now.
He is.
And that's a frustrating position to deal with. He's got the army to deal with it, but he's trying to focus on the resources, clinging onto the 1 VP, absolutely essential to make sure that Axis don't get that VP lead.
Yep. Oh, nice stun grenade there. That's covering his retreat path. I've seen a lot of that recently with Grand Defensive Doctrine, as you throw the stun grenade just to allow yourself to retreat. It's amazing that some things people feel in the game are a little bit not so great until you see top-level players make use of them, and that makes it a lot better.
Just wanted to point out, Repair Pioneers upgraded on the Mechanized Regiment, which of course means the Stern Pioneers can be a little more effective on the field, a little more aggressive. Mobile light vehicles just need to retreat and get healing at the base. So Luvnest actually using all the resources that he got in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's making great use of all of the resources available to him. And Nexus, of course, is a map that gives a lot of resources. 2 standard territory sectors more, in fact. Luke's on the prowl here, looking for a target. What's it seeing?
Luke's is up against the penal battalions. There's not much else on the field, to be honest. You see the M42 AT guns, they're just getting pulled around. It's either the Luke's poking its head or the Puma.
Oh, Folks Grenadier is just battling to the death here. Very lucky for it, there's nothing on that southern flank. Meanwhile, in the south, T-70 dealing with the Folks Grenadiers, but it is Luvnest in control. Only 14 minutes may have played, but this window of play, Dan, I think you'll agree, is one of the most important, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. Interesting at this point, I think both players are realizing no significant ground's been made. Although Jove's outside of his base, he's not really in a bad position. He's not lost much. He's going to be able to eventually break this line and get some more of the map. It's probably going to be a late game situation. And we might see the Lukes go down here.
M42's great positioning to take it out. T70 grants them line of sight, and he couldn't get out of there in time. He did have the Stuka smoke possibly available to him, but there's M42's fired too damn quickly. Well, that's nice though. Nice positioning there, I have to say.
Yeah, it's not a big deal for Luvnest just because of the huge resource lead. But there's a lot of unfinished mines from Jove on the field. I don't know if you've spotted this, but I keep seeing them everywhere.
Jove, keep your progress though.
He's got a lot of munitions here that just aren't being utilized. Maybe he wants to finish them
by
off.
the way, have now been deployed. These guys are pretty nifty on this map because a lot of sight blocking features for you to flank your opponents with. Penal Battalion's bossing the south there, just trying to claim back victory points because he is suffering on that front. Meanwhile, Penal Battalion's throw a satchel. As Luvnest seen it, he goes forward, blocks himself in, but gets out of there in the nick of time and possibly finishes the job. Oh, couldn't quite get it. A little bit of fortune for both there.
It's such smart engagement sense from Luvnest because he knew he could stay in that fight. It allowed him to press forward, try and get the squad wipe. He was unlucky not to get that, to be honest.
Neutralise the munitions cut off for a moment as well. Meanwhile, in the north, Jove just marauding with this Penal Battalion squad, taking back that fuel point. Folks Grenadiers get behind the longitudinal section of wall there. Oh, we see on the graph, by the way, that is Luvnest. His is narrowed the gap in terms of army value. Meanwhile, resource flow, pretty standard. They're making good use.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's a lot of trading going on. We're just seeing a lot of skirmishes. There's nothing adventurous yet, but it's a very good game, and I think it's a very good game to show between just two good players constantly having to fight their way up and down the map. There's this is nice. Smoke to cap
usage, yeah, indeed. He needs to use smoke to cap. Let's actually give him a triple cap. Talking of which,
I think they were on attack move, so it actually made the Panzer Fusiliers run towards the shock troops.
Very nice,
which is beautiful.
Meanwhile, Puma's got taking some shots. I can see. It's a bit of action. Oh, it's trying to get away from the PTRS penal satchel there. Very clever. Just looking for a target, couldn't quite get it. Engagements on every sector of Nexus right now. The north, the mid, the south, it's all going down. We also have the Su-76 building, but it's going to be outmatched and outgunned by the Panzer IV. Not at range though. Keep it at range down. The Su-76 can be tasty, especially if it gets veterancy. You've got vets. Oh, nice by the shock troops using that flanking route. They claim an MG for their Radina.
That is a really important pickup. You now have a look at the infantry army between these two players, and you can see that it is heavily stacked in favor of Jove at this point. Su-76 is coming on. The T-70 hit a mine somewhere. Perhaps took a Faust. It's, either way, is currently snared, being repaired back in the base. Still strong for Luvnest, but surprised Jove is struggling on the field with the army he's got right now.
Luvnest is dominating at the moment. He's all over the place. The Puma is on the prowl. The Panzer IV is now built and ready. Here it comes with those shirts and already constructed, or attached rather. Meanwhile, back in the south, he's outmuscled the Soviet infantry. G43's repositioned behind the barrels. Not a good idea in an FPS game, of course.
Just see the T-70, Su-76. I think they know that the Panzer IV is coming because all of the armor seems to be coming down to the south right now. The Panzer IV is going to open up and try and clear the penal battalions in cover. Where's the Su-76? There's the first shot. And with a little bit of sight from the T-70, the Su-76 is going to be really potent here.
Oh my god, nice shot by the T-70 there. Stern Pioneers forced away. Meanwhile, Panzer Fusiliers Vet 2 get killed by the T-70. This thing's on a tear. Panzer IV doesn't like it. Su-76 does not care. It watches on and protects its little buddy on its way back to base. Luvnest. Oh god, what's that there? A demo charge?
Engineers went down, actually, with the flamethrower
on
their way into the base.
Fair enough.
Just see Obersoldaten built from Luvnest, so looking to capitalize. He's got less infantry than his opponent. He wants to make sure his infantry is going to win most of the engagements. Obersoldaten is the answer to that. Jove missing the... he's definitely got pickup slots for that, so I'm not sure what that decision was about. Luvnest trying to get on top of the flamethrower.
Gets pinned by the machine gun there, the stolen machine gun, don't forget. Panzer IV Traverses its turret, gets a juicy shot off on the T-70. Obersoldaten providing some anti-infantry fire, but there you go! The double M42s could take it out here! Puma needs to pop smoke to protect! Oh, double bounce from the frontal armor!
Double bounce, the RNG favours Luvnest there, and he definitely wasn't getting out quick enough in that engagement. Very fortunate. Here's a great barrage from the Su-76, trying to get some indirect fire shots to clear the units out of cover. Still, no one been able to pick up that flamethrower yet.
Oh dear. That's really insulting my my compulsions. I'm not going to say I'm obsessive. I think we all would want that flamethrower right now, but we're not in the middle of a highly elite 1 versus 1 battle where they've got a lot more to think of than just one weapon drop.
Just looking at the current build, I'm thinking Jove might be able to go for the KV2 next. He's got Vet 3 T-70, so he could use the recon mode for a pretty excessive
He's got
sight.
the mechanized armor company down.
Let's have a look. No, but he could go for it. It could be the next thing in the build.
What is...
this is Luvnest.
There we go. It's not built yet. It is indeed somewhat confusing. Sometimes you have to do a bit of a shuffle between the cards. Panzer, oh, nice shot on the Su-76, which now has veterancy 2, so superior penetration to its previous profile. Panzer Fusiliers push in, force away the M42s. T-70 watches on. Where's the Puma in all this? Here it comes. Causing some damage possibly for the T-70. One big shot in, needs another. PTRS Penals could throw the satchel here, gets the kill on T-70. Puma suffers the satchel. Will it get out? No, it won't. Oh!
No, I don't think that's a bad trade. Getting the Vet 3 T-70 down, I think, is a pretty big deal, because there's a lot of mobility, a lot of sight now lost for Jove. The Su-76, I think, is not going to be as good, except for the mobile barrages.
All shot troops are in a juicy little spot here. Where's this grenade going? Well dodged by Luvnest. Calm under pressure.
The stun grenade's going to be so good against shocks, and here it goes.
They threw their own, they stun to retreat. It's the perfect grenade for that situation.
Oh, great shot from the Panzer IV. 2 shock models down. That's expensive. Jove, of course, just constantly having to reinforce these units. Does Jove have healing? Because I see a lot of... Yes, he does, but I see a lot of unhealed units. There's the tier 4. So, what are we expecting here? KV2, do you think?
Oh, definitely. He's got the fuel in the bag. He just needs to get that manpower. Can we have a look at the costs of it, please? There we go, it's 236.30, so very much the Tiger's cost, basically. KV2, Kliment Virashilov is a howitzer on tracks.
That was beautiful.
It's actually used first in the Winter War versus the Finns, the KV2, and it was pretty crap, in all honesty. You had Finnish guys on skis taking it out from the sides, and it was unwieldy behemoth. But in this kind of death match that we see on before us on this hellacious landscape, the KV2 is just the ticket.
Yeah, it's just such a shame to lose the T-70, I think. 2 squads of Obersoldaten now, by the way.
One's looking low on health. You don't want to lose the... That's 80 manpower gone in the blink of an eye. 40 each.
See, the Su-76 is desperate to try and push away the Panzer IV. It's not in the right place when it needs to be. The second MG34 is upgraded on the Obersoldaten. There's a lot of anti-infantry power on the field for Luvnest now, and I think we're going to see him wait for the Tiger. It's going to be quite an offensive build.
It certainly is, if you're Jove, but he has the perfect retort to that offense. Nice work by this Vet 3 Penal Battalion, but a nice grenade. Well dodged, however. And there you go. Back in the center. Let's go check out the situation as it unfolds. Shock troops push in. Force the Obersoldaten to backpedal away from those PPSH submachine guns. And also, of course, the SVT rifles and PTRS anti-tank rifles following up. Panzer IV comes to deal with the spill out in aisle 9. We didn't see a grenade thrown by Jove there because he couldn't see the Panzer Fusiliers retreating behind the wall, of course, with true sight. Su-76 repositioning. Gets to Vet 3 down. It's a bona fide tank killer.
See, something was planted there by the engineers.
Nice mine and good positions there. Meanwhile, in the north, it's all kicking off as the Stern Pioneers are forced away. Then the Su-76 was under threat of Panzerfaust there. I heard their crew screaming It's all gone quiet for a moment as we really start to feel the anticipation and the excitement in the air, because you just know these big tanks are going to hit, and then it's going to be all thrown against the wall until the last man is remained standing. Yes, they are shooting at us, Comrade Obvious.
Here it is, by the way.
Oh, here it is. Stalinhammer, howitzer on wheels. It is the Kliment Voroshilov 2. And as the commander, or the commissar rather, surveys the battlefield, he's coming to a cinema near you very shortly. Some huge concussive rounds. If they don't kill you, you'll never be the same again. Oh god, these Panzer Fusiliers don't know what's coming for them. So Wilhelm, how are you liking the war? Oh god.
Luvnest.
Nothing happened, by the way, there. It's quite funny that the round just went over them.
Yep. It's
Oh! And just in the nick of time, we've been touting this rivalry. Dan, give it a bit of a hype intro for it.
That's right. Well, it is one of the biggest tanks in the game. It sounds fantastic, looks fantastic, and it's going to be fantastic in the hands of Luvnest. The perfect counter to the KV-2. It is the Tiger. And you see Luvnest, he's just kind of teasing away with the Panzer Fusiliers, trying to lead the KV-2 in. But actually, it's bait for the Tiger to come in, and I think the Tiger's going to catch it off guard through the wall.
Movement here. He powers through the wall. KV-2 traverses its huge turret there. A good amount of health damage done. Tiger going toe-to-toe with its communist foe. Pintle mount upgrades. Meanwhile, in the north, the Panzer IVs doing damage to the infantry, forcing them away. Very much a pincer from the German. Su-76 repositions, so gains veterancy 3 against the damage sponge that is the Tiger. KV-2 gets a huge shot in. Tiger could finish off the tank destroyer. Will it get an overshot in? Panzerfaust perhaps?
Yep,
yes! Panzerfaust takes out the Su-76.
Look at this. Luvnest. I think he's happy with that. You know, he's not going to gamble any more than that. Really, really happy with what he's taken down there. M42 also down. And Panzer IV just clearing up these units in the north. Got to be careful of the mines. But there's just no need for Luvnest to do any more than this. Great position. Loads of VPs in the bank. Couldn't be in a better place in this game.
DOE. Don't overextend. That's the rule Luvnest needs to live by now with the Tiger, because he's in a dominant position. But if you don't play your cards right, it'll go badly against you, and this is dicing with death. He's just trying to take out an M42 here, by the way. The KV-2 could get a random shot off, perhaps. It is being crew repaired, however. This is fortunate for Luvnest.
Ooh, Blendkorps there.
Whoa.
On the Obersoldaten, slowing the advance of the shock troops. And Panzer IV obviously just going to come in here and take some free shots.
Mine time. 1. Possibly 2. Oh, please be careful. Shock troops are utterly useless at this range. Tiger's getting repaired Rapido style by Vet 4 Stern Pioneers with the battle package. Pretty much back ready for battle again. I mean, that's a good amount of health on that tank.
Yeah, I think it's Veteran C3, is it, that they get the... Veteran C3, repair objects faster. It's a pretty big deal, to be honest, the repair speed.
It certainly is, and as I say, with the support package, they repair faster as well, so it's all good now. The Tiger will be back and mended. There's some crazy statistic on actual Tiger usage in the Second World War. I think they had like 95% of their time was being repaired or being moved around the battlefield or something. I can't remember the exact statistic, but it was pretty shocking. Obersoldaten, very fortunate there not to lose a Soldaten. They're just a lot of health damage. Meanwhile, Volksgrenadiers and Panzer Fusiliers move up. Oh, this is bad. Look at that positioning. How did they survive that?
Sure, but it's, KV-2 might get another shot on this.
Could do. It's a long reload time. It's just out of the range now. Tiger's just chilling. What is that? Is that a smoke grenade?
By the way, 75 VPs left for Jove now. We just heard that being called out a second ago. And Luvnest just sitting on 3 VPs.
Oh, yes he is. And this Tiger's sitting pretty in the centre, bouncing a huge howitzer shot and doing a hell lot of health damage versus the KV-2 as Jove is forced to throw in the towel. 1-0 to the big German.
Well, there we have it. After an amazing game one, it seems that Luvnest is going to take the series into the lead. And that was a confident game one, a respectful game one. No player being kind of like offensive, diving too deep. It was two great players just trying to feel each other out before, I think, game two. I think it's going to be pretty big.
They are, yeah. As you say, very respectful at the start there. They were ponderous of each other. Very much, you know, flicking out some jabs, just trying to gain range.
Working the rope.
Great sports analogy there, Dan. Going for a three-pointer. You know, it's like... Okay, anyway. But yes, it was a very ponderous start. But then I really felt like Luvnest started to gain control. I think he's got his builds down. I'll tell you something about Luvnest. Aimstrong had some killer builds in this tournament. In the build-up, he was practicing in secret on a Smurf account, and he built up this crazy Wehrmacht demo rush build. You know, there's new demo charges on the Pioneers under one of the new commanders. He found out the exact timings for every building in the game, how to destroy them, all the base entrances, and how to do it. Luvnest found his Smurf within 3 days and watched every single game of his in auto match, and then prepared for him beautifully. This is a guy that does his homework, is the message I'm saying to you. Luvnest treats this like it's his life's desire to win this tournament. He wants the money, obviously, but he's also about the pride. His family watch these tournaments in their living room. How cool is that? His mum and dad are like 60 or whatever. They all get round and they watch Luvnest's games in these big tournaments. They treat him like he's a hometown hero.
Shout out to Luvnest's family.
Big shout out to Gunther and his 5 friends, by the way, who have rented a house in Germany to watch this tournament live together at a party. So big shout out to you guys. Hopefully there's some kind of group photo. We really want to see that at some point. But you guys 1-0 up, so congratulations.
You make a good point about Luvnest. The homework thing is it's how you win, to be honest. The good thing is with Luvnest is he's still flexible. I mean, you saw, you know, obviously with the issues that they faced that first game earlier, they've obviously replayed that. He's able to adjust. He's able to adjust when Jove changes the build. He still has something up his sleeve. It's like it's not just one bit of homework. He's got a number of strategies. That's what makes him so potent.
Somebody just said, what about Jove, AE? Well, the unfortunate thing about Jove is he lives in Russia and only speaks Russian. He's never been able to get a visa to play in on the live tournaments we ran in the last 2 years, so we've never met him, quite frankly. We've like been on holiday with Luvnest. We've like drunk with him, so we're not biased in that sense when we're casting, but on a personal level, we actually know the guy, so it's a little bit more easy for us to kind of get excited and to talk about him. I will say this about Jove. He has more hours at a competitive level than any of the other players, 8,000 and counting.
Yeah.
And he's just a beast.
By no means, like, don't think for a second that Jove is to be talked about negatively.
No way.
Or that he's demeaned. And, like, it's not the case. He is... still, you know, he has so many accolades to his name. First person to hit #1 in all 5 factions at the same time in Company of Heroes. Just an impossible nearly thing to do. You know, so don't take game one at you know, as a predictor of what this series is going to be. Jove is going to come back pretty strong.
He's a beast. He knows no other way. What we're going to do now, very quick wait screen. We're going to get Ed